con man and the crime boss of a cult-like organization.
You're going to hear a lot of things that might offend you, but not everything that's offensive translates into being a crime.
It doesn't make the capital region any safer. It may make people who are angry and upset for some reason maybe happier. And
Keith has said to me, the next time I see you, you will be dead or in jail. Well, I'm alive and he's in jail and it looks like for life.
I imagine there's cult leaders around the world who are quaking in their boots right now.
Prosecutors and defense attorneys, victims and scholars all agree the case against NXIVM co-founder Keith Raniere was emotional, at times shocking. Today, the case is closed for now. The self-described guru that founded the Capital Region cult NXIVM found guilty on all charges. Hello and thank you for staying with us here on Spectrum News. I'm Solomon Syed. Tonight, we're following that breaking news coming out of a Brooklyn federal court where jurors returned a verdict. After deliberating for just 4 hours, Raniere now facing life behind bars. Jacqueline Kangra was in Brooklyn Federal Court when that verdict was read. Jacqueline joining us now with more. Jacqueline, so much to unpack here, but first, that verdict as it was read in court.
Yeah, Solomon, this has been a long and exhausting trial, and as you said, it was wrapped up in about 4 hours of jury deliberations. Keith Raniere found guilty on all charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Now, federal prosecutors visibly emotional when they spoke after this verdict was read. They came right out and said that the NXIVM co-founder is a crime boss and manipulative. For years, he ran NXIVM out of the capital region, but the groups also spread into Mexico and Canada, and now the government says that no one will be victimized again.
His crimes and the crimes of his co-conspirators ruined marriages, careers, fortunes, and lives.
Yeah, and we aren't done with litigation just yet. Keith Raniere's attorneys say that their client told them that the quick verdict was not justice. They're already planning for an appeal, and they say that Raniere told them he feels remorse for some things that he did, but won't go into specifics about what, and that he also remains engaged in this process.
and it's a pleasure working with a client who's willing to have the courage of convictions, fight for it, knowing that he may never see daylight again. It doesn't make the capital region any safer. It may make people who are angry and upset for some reason maybe happier.
I mean, when I say it's an emotional trial, I mean for everyone. I mean, you know, for the lawyers, for the prosecutors, for the people who've gone through this, you know, as witnesses and victims, I think it's been emotional for everybody. And I hope sincerely that the verdict brings peace and closure, if that's possible. A fair sentence, I think, would give him the ability to have hope that one day he can walk as a free man.
And about filing an appeal, they won't say exactly what their basis will be, but Mark Agnifilo actually filed for a mistrial twice during this trial, basically saying that because his cross-examination of former member Lauren Salzman was cut short, he didn't get a fair trial. So obviously, that's expected to be included in that appeal process. Saul?
Now, Jacqueline, I want to go back to even what the defense attorney said, that this verdict is a culmination of 7 weeks of very emotional testimony, took a toll on a lot of people, especially the witnesses. It was clear from what we heard from others coming out of that courtroom that this was indeed a very emotional 7 weeks.
Yes, all this was emotional and much more than just that 7 weeks, as you said. Some people have been waiting years, even decades, to get justice against Keith Raniere. Ex-girlfriend Tony Natale was actually pacing back and forth in the courtroom waiting for that verdict. She actually told me before court even began for the day that she was expecting a verdict to be read today. Actress Catherine Oxenberg also just making it to the courtroom in time for the jury to read that guilty verdict. She spent years trying to get her daughter out of DOS. The two of them have actually called each other bookends, saying that Natale was the one who first looked for justice and that Oxenberg helped to finish it.
I had to save a child who was caught in the grips of this cult. So I wasn't going to stop until I had succeeded in doing that.
And I wanted to save the rest of the children that were about to be pulled into this cult, because I've watched them waves over the years, groups of people come in and be hurt, and marriages and friendships and relationships destroyed. And
And you might have noticed the shirt that Natalie was wearing there. She says that that was to send a message to Keith, basically saying that she was wearing jail stripes. Now, as for how this case could impact future cases involving cults, a cult expert spoke after court, basically saying that a trial like this will have implications for anything that is dealing with victims of sex trafficking.
It's precedent setting for sex trafficking, for labor trafficking, for coercive control of women, for this kind of sexual abuse and this kind of abuse of power. He's clearly a sadist, and I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and Keith Raniere is scheduled to be sentenced in September. That's just weeks after his co-conspirators will be sentenced as well. Saul?
Now, Jacqueline, the other thing that made this case so compelling, you have emotional testimony, some of it very sordid, the details around NXIVM and this ultra-secretive sex cult DOS, but then you also had the aspect that some of the folks involved here were members of Hollywood. You had Smallville actress Allison Mack embroiled in this. You just talked about this. Catherine Oxenberg, she was an actress herself, her daughter tied up in all of this. So just a lot of moving parts here, and the Capital Region, then you see it's intertwined with Hollywood life.
Yeah, and I mean, there were thousands of people who took NXIVM courses, who went through those doors, and it wasn't actually just Hollywood. A Mexican family was actually moved to the Capital Region specifically to take NXIVM courses. One of those family members testified on the stand. You might remember that she was the one who says that she was kept inside of a Clifton Park room for 2 years. They attracted people because of their message of self-empowerment and bettering themselves. Keith Raniere billed himself as this genius guru, but again, the government saying that was just a facade.
All right, Jacqueline Kangro there for us in Brooklyn. So much to unpack here. Jacqueline, thank you.